We are excited. We're going to have a Q&A session. This is really just a space for you all to ask any and all of your Google Ad Grant questions and get them answered by one of the most phenomenal and impressive Google Ads strategists I've ever worked with Katie. And I'll try to do my best to support in any way I can. But let's go ahead and get those questions flowing in, put them in the Q&A tab, and then we'll look at the most upvoted ones. And if you have any other questions, put them in the chat and we will go from there. I'll start out with a question for you, Katie. Can you just tell us what the Google Ad Grant is? Is it like other grants that you have to take a super long time to apply? Like, how much money is it? How can you use it? Like, what is this? What is this Google Ad Grant, and why is it important?
Yeah, absolutely. The great thing, I will just start off by saying the ad grant is pretty much nothing like any other grant process that you've ever gone through. I remember writing just like pages and pages of documents to explain how I would use grant money. And then there's the whole back and forth process of, are you using grant money properly? Are you doing what you said you were going to do with your grant application? The Google Ad Grant is nothing like that. Essentially, the Google Ad Grant provides free $10,000 a month ad spend credit. So you're not actually receiving dollars into your bank account, but it's a credit within the ad program. And pretty much anyone can apply if you're a 501c3, so long as you're not an educational institution, a government institution, or a hospital, you can qualify. And I know in Emily's session, she said if you're concerned, like you're not sure you qualify, just apply. It takes like almost no time. The application process, the first thing that you do is you apply for what's called the Google for Nonprofits, and that gets you access to like their whole discounted nonprofit systems, their Google suite. And then it also houses the grant application. So for the Google for Nonprofit, you'll just go to that website, you'll apply, they'll verify that you are in fact a nonprofit, so you need to have your identification letter handy. And then once you have that, you can enter that platform and apply for the ad grant. And that's essentially just saying why you qualify. It asks for your website. It'll ask your fundraising efforts, what your kind of calendar looks like. It's mostly like information gathering for them. And so long as you have a high quality website that has CTAs, doesn't have any broken links, has pictures, has like a really clear understanding of what your organization is, you will qualify and get a notification that says like, congratulations, you have the ad grant. Here's how you access your grant account.
Amazing. And I don't know, how long does it take in terms of
I think they tell you it's like 7 to 14 business days, but I've gotten like from Google for Nonprofit certification to grant submission, I think on average it normally takes like 7 days, sometimes a little bit more, but you could do it in about a
amazing?
week. Just make sure one of the things that I will say is when you're doing the application process, I know that nonprofits, you have so many people with so many hands and so many pots. Having your application go through like a general email address, like info@CommunityBoost or like marketing@CommunityBoost. That way, any team member can access the account. That's pretty huge. If there's any turnover or somebody leaves, it's really important that you can still access all of your accounts. So to have a more generic email helps a lot with that. And then making sure you're checking your email. I have a lot of people who say like, oh, it's been over 14 days. And I was like, well, have you checked your email? And then there's an email that's been sitting there for a week. So yeah, 7 to 14 business days, I think is the average.
I love it. I love it. Make sure to put those questions in the Q&A and in the chat so we can answer those questions for you. That's what we're here for. What about losing the grant, Katie? Can I lose it if I do it, if I apply now and put it to use? Will it
Yeah.
go away?
So it's not the same as a typical grant where you have to fear like losing it if you don't use it or losing it if you don't like use it the way that you're saying. I guess you do have to use it the way you're saying you're going to use it. There are compliance requirements. So as long as you're following compliance requirements, it doesn't matter if you spend all of it. So long as you're following those rules, you're fine. I'm going to actually throw the compliance link into the chat so people can see all the things that I'm talking about. But um, compliance is mostly like you're not allowed to use single word keywords. You can't have really generic keywords. So making sure that your builds are reflective of the work that you do. You need to have you need to make sure that your quality score for your keywords are 3 or above. Um, Click-through rate, that's the biggest one that I notice, is if it's less than 5%, what Google will do is actually like temporarily suspend your account, but not necessarily take it away completely. So what you can do is go in and make changes to your account and Google will reactivate it. So you never really fully lose your account unless you like do something like really, really bad and violate their policies repeatedly. So don't circumvent their systems. Don't send people to websites with malware on it. So long as you're not doing any of those like really bad things, it is almost impossible to lose the grant.
Amazing. The reason I asked is because some people I've talked to have been like, "Hey, Eric, this Google Ad grant sounds cool. It's $10,000 a month of advertising spend we can use to grow. It's free advertising spend. I might as well do it right away. I'm just afraid that I'll start, I won't do it correctly. I'll be out of compliance. I'll lose it, and I'll never be able to get it back." Um, if if you pop out of compliance, you can still get the grant back.
Yeah,
And
in
so
most
go
cases
ahead
you
and do
can
it now, being the
reactivate.
bottom line, right?
Yeah, in most cases, if you fall out of compliance, what you do is you message um, the like Google support and you say, hey, like I've been suspended. It looks like I've fallen out of compliance. I've made changes to improve my click-through rate. I've added site links. I've added all of the compliance requirements. Will you please reactivate my account? And then somebody will go, they'll manually review your account and say, yes, you did everything, or no, you need to add a site link, or you need more conversions in your account or something along those lines, and they'll like walk you through what you need to fix. The only time that they won't do that and you could be at risk of losing your account is one like what I call the like most heinous of things you could do is they're circumventing systems, which is um, you know, I guess you don't know what circumventing systems is, but they have a whole they have a whole list of things that you're not supposed to do, like sending a user with to a landing page that has a redirect that puts malware on their computer, or any of those kinds of things. So most of the time you guys aren't doing things like that. So it's a non-issue, but definitely paying attention to not just the compliance requirements, but also paying attention to just Google Ads policies in general. Those still apply to your ad grant account. It's not just the Wild West because it's free money.
Amazing. That is great. Thank you. We're getting some questions. These are awesome. We got a quick one from Jason North, who seems to be following me from session to session. Thank you, Jason. This is fun. Here's a quick one on copywriting tips for ads. Any tips for writing strong ad copy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so with the ad copy, we're now at a point where Google is only using what's called responsive search ads. So these are almost like banks of ad copy that Google will test and rotate combinations through. So you'll have about 14 headline options and then 4 description options. With your ad copy, you want to make sure that you have your nonprofit name in your headlines. I think that one's a no-brainer, but like don't forget to put your nonprofit name in there. I always utilize one description to be a version of the mission statement. So even if you're limited to 90 characters, but if your mission statement is longer than that, you can still kind of tweak it to make it fit that character requirement. And then having call to actions in both your headlines and your descriptions. Make sure that your users know exactly what action you want them to take. I take a lot of ad copy directly from the landing page. That helps improve your quality score. So making sure that your ads almost not exactly match, but have some similarities to the landing page you're sending users to. And then for your headlines, making sure that they're like descriptive. So you have, your CTA. You want to make sure that you're also having a descriptive headlines. It's clear like what the program is, and then having keywords in your headlines. That you'll actually see in the platform. There's like an ad strength bubble next to your ads as you're building them, and Google will say like, oh, like you can add more headlines to improve your ad strength. You can add more keywords to improve your ad strength, and it's a pretty decent indicator of Google's going to prioritize ads that have higher strength and quality score. So following those guidelines help.
Amazing. That is fantastic. Thank you, Katie. Let's see. So we'll do Anna's first, and then I want to hit Forrest's question as well about an ad walkthrough, but I think Anna's might be a little quicker. So Anna says, we have the ad grant right now, and the spend varies. Sometimes it's 8,000, other months it's 10. Why is that? Just less search volume that month. Basically, why does spend vary?
Yeah, and I think you did hit it on the nose. Like there is variations in search volume month over to month. You're not going to have the same number of people every single time searching the same keywords. One thing I notice a lot of the time is people will have dips in spend around like 3-day weekends, like Memorial Day just happened. I can go into nearly every single one of my grant accounts, and I can just see it go down in spend because people aren't searching. They're not searching around Christmas, Thanksgiving, even I know those are very like Western holidays, but for some of my like Jewish nonprofits that I work with, we'll see things happen over like Passover. There might be a drop in spend. So paying attention to the holidays, you'll notice there'll be dips. Search volume impacts it, and then what will happen for a lot of accounts is we'll see what I call like weekend dips. So you'll see just like 329, 329, 329, and then Saturday hits and you'll see like $160 in spend. And so what I typically do in that case is take all of the ad groups that are performing like really well week over week, and move them into a weekend campaign and just give them a huge budget. And so that these are high performing ad groups, that they tend to spend, and then just really like power up the budget on those ad groups or those campaigns over the weekend, and that'll sometimes help balance things out if you're seeing a consistent dip at a certain time of the month. But it's okay to not always utilize the $10,000. I know that that's like a big top of mind thing. Sometimes I'll see my ad spend, but I'll have higher impressions and a higher clicks, and so that kind of tells me like, oh, I'm getting more for less money. So maybe you can do expansion around those areas where you're spending less, bringing in more clicks. You can do some expansion around those keywords to kind of expand what people are searching for.
That is amazing. I love it. And congratulations, Anna. That's awesome. You're spending a lot of your ad grant, which
That's
is great.
great. Love to hear it.
Yeah. All right. So Forrest has a question, and Misty had a similar question, which is basically just like, the question itself is maybe too much, but could you do a basic walkthrough of the ad crafting process? Org has a Google Ad grant. We have gotten good advice from some knowledgeable people, but no one on staff has true experience. Misty's was, can you walk through basics of how you set up ads, campaigns? I've heard it's not that easy. I feel like the general theme is, what are the basics of how this actually works when the rubber hits the road?
Yeah. So I don't know. Grab your pens and papers, because I'm gonna walk you through it. And in my next session, we have a diagram where it's like, this is your account, and then you have campaigns. So essentially, you have your Google Ads account, and then within it, you make campaigns. And when you log into your account, you'll see in your overview section there'll be a button that says like plus campaign, and you can build a campaign. And you'll click into that, and it'll ask you a bunch of questions about budgets and all of those things, and we'll get into that strategy actually a lot in like an hour. But you'll set your budgets, you'll set your bid strategy, and then you'll get to the section that says ad groups, and so that your ad group is where you're creating your keywords and your ads. So in your ad group, you're gonna kind of create a combination of like, you're going to make a bunch of different ad groups with different themes. So what do we want our theme to be for this practice session? Does anyone
Let
want to
me
throw
see
out a
if I
theme
can.
and I can just like on the spot make up keywords? No one?
Can we?
Okay. Leadership development. Love it. Okay. Okay, Jana, putting me on the spot with leadership development. So you can do keyword research around leadership development, and that'll be one of your ad groups. And then maybe when you're doing leadership development, you find leadership training as options for keywords. So that'll be a separate ad group. And then while you're doing things for leadership training, you find managerial training as keyword options. So now you have 3 ad groups. You have leadership development, leadership training, managerial training. You'll have those keywords broken out per ad group. Once you have your ad groups, your keywords are added in, the next option you'll have is to create your ads. And so that's what I was talking about. That last question, you want to make sure you have 14, up to 14 headlines, up to 4 descriptions. Let's utilize as many as you can with the name of your organization, call to actions, your keywords. Make sure that leadership development is in your headlines, that managerial training is in your headlines. And then your descriptions include your mission statement and then a call to action description, just kind of like an awareness description, ad copy that is coming from your landing page. And then you'll make your ad and you'll click publish. And huzzah, you have a campaign. You can, from there, make adjustments to your campaign. You can add more ad groups. You can click into the campaign. You'll see an ad group section. You can click add ad group, and you can just keep adding more and more campaigns or more and more ad groups to your campaigns. You can also keep adding and adding campaigns. You have $10,000. I have some accounts that have, 5 campaigns that are running because they're really, really strong and we're able to max. And I have some that have like 10 running because we need a little bit more help to get things moving. But that's pretty much the breakdown of the step-by-step process of building a campaign.
Thank you, Katie. That was really good. I think it'll be really valuable to go to the next session as well as she dives into more detail. If I can
There'll
try
be a
to
lot of
try to
strategy in that session for both the Google ad grant and then also paid search. So you'll get to hear my opinions on bidding strategies and keyword strategies and match types and all those things. Because I know Jason was
amazing.
asking
Here
about
we
it.
go.
That is the
Here we
diagram
go.
that's on my presentation.
Yeah. So let me try to summarize what you said, Katie, and that would be a helpful way to kind of reinforce learning. So account level, just your total ad grant account. A campaign is basically a whole bunch of ad groups focused on one goal. So the reason you have a campaign is to set budgets and they all go to a similar goal, like you want to drive volunteers or general awareness. And then each ad group is just a group of keywords that are all similar enough that the same ad can represent those keywords. So we had that example around
Leadership development.
leadership
Don't forget Jana
development.
in the chat.
So if it's like leadership development workshops near me, the ad group would be like leadership development workshops and then a bunch of keywords that would say leadership development workshops near me, workshops for leadership development, leadership workshops, workshops near me that talk about leadership development, keywords like that that are all grouped together. And then all the ads speak to that keyword. So they would all have the word workshop in them. And then for each campaign, you'd have multiple ad groups. Within each ad group, you have multiple ads. So hopefully this
Ad groups, you'll
diagram is
probably,
helpful.
I'm going to correct you, Eric. You'll probably only have one
Please.
ad per ad group at this point. That was previously
All
a
right.
requirement that you had multiple ads per ad group, but with the shift to responsive search ads, that's not being enforced. And we actually have been told by people who work for the Google for Nonprofit program that they just haven't updated the requirements. So you don't need to worry too much about having multiple ads unless you're doing some interesting A/B testing with your responsive search ads.
Amazing. So Misty and now it's gone. I'm forgetting who asked the initial question. And Forrest, was that helpful? Let us know if you have follow-up questions to that. And as always, I'll shoot my email in the chat if you have any follow-up questions that don't get answered here. And then I'm always happy
Forrest
to
is
point you in the
happy.
right direction. Amazing.
Perfect.
Awesome. Let's see.
I think I want to make sure we hit Jason. I don't want to just be like, I'm ignoring you this session. Come to me next session. Jason is asking like general strategies that we found that work well, keyword match types, bid strategies, high intent versus awareness keywords, etc. So with the Google Ads grant, we noticed that it's very much a like high funnel platform for bringing in users. Awareness works really well. If you have a blog, it's great for supporting a blog. Not to say that you can't bring in donations. I do have a number of accounts that bring in donations, but it can be a little tricky. And a lot of times it's for branded terms. So I always suggest having, a branded, well, not even suggest, we kind of require having a branded campaign, having an awareness campaign that's talking about your blog, a programs campaign if you have specific programs, and then a donation campaign. And we even include like really generic donation keywords like donate to nonprofits, donate to leadership development nonprofits. We'll include those kinds of ad groups. For keyword match type, we find with the grant that broad is fine. I go into it in like pretty great length next session, but in the ad grant, because it's free, it's not as important to, I don't want to say it's not as important, but it's okay for things to get a little tangential in your search terms. And sometimes you get some really good ideas for expansion from tangential search terms. So I think it's okay to go broad. What I tend to do when shifting things to phrase or even exact, I normally make those changes when I'm seeing like CTR is getting really low. If I notice there's a collection of keywords that have just tons of impressions but aren't bringing in clicks, I'll bulk change those to phrase match. And typically you're now reaching a user. Phrase match means the search keyword has to be within the phrase that they're searching. So leadership development is the keyword phrase match. The leadership development will trigger it, or programs that do leadership development will trigger it, but managerial training won't trigger it, where that could have been triggered in a broad match. So I'll change some keywords to phrase match if we're noticing CTR is getting kind of crummy. And that a lot of the times we're bringing in more like high intent users by using phrase match. For bid strategies, we as a company start with enhanced cost per click. This utilizes your budget and it adjusts your cost per click settings to maximize for conversions essentially. This is normally what we do is just like a test phase of just seeing what performs, and then we'll duplicate things and A/B test it against maximize conversions. We noticed that maximize conversions kind of is the thing that'll get your account spending, but with the caveat that you need to have conversions in your account. So it's really important to make sure that I know I think it was just before me, Ponce did a presentation on GA4. It's coming. We're stuck with it. So making sure that, I don't know if there's somebody who can just like throw the link to our like stuff for GA4 in the chat, but if they're there in the background, please do it. Because you need to have conversions in your account to use any of these like smart bidding strategies that are talking about, oh, look at that. There's a QR code. GA4 stuff. You want to make sure you have conversions in your account to use like maximize conversions. There is max clicks, but that's not my favorite thing to use. If we're trying to get people like down the funnel, we want to be tracking conversions. So it's really important there. And then, yeah, it's a very much an awareness section of the funnel, but you can bring people down. I see a lot of like volunteer applications come in, newsletter signups, and still a handful of donations across accounts every month.
Amazing. Thank you, Katie. That was super helpful. Jason's getting the love today. I love it. Jason is a member of our Community Boost Accelerator. Jason, tell us how you feel about the program. Honestly, you don't have to say it's good unless you do think so, but everyone should go ahead and apply. Someone put a link to apply in the chat, please.
He gave a fire emoji and a rocket, so
let's
that tells
go.
me something.
A fire and a rocket. The emojis speak for themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Catherine had two questions in one. Is there a daily bid amount cap when you have a grant? And the second question is, and can you add pictures or videos to your ads using the grant? Or does the grant only cover text ads?
Perfect. Perfect. That's this question. Catherine, look at you. This is a really good question. So there is a CPC cap at $2. But if you use the smart bidding methods that I mentioned, maximize cost per click or maximize conversions, you will be able to work around that. So that's another reason why it's really important to get conversions in there. You could get stuck at that $2 cap. So to be able to use smart bidding and get past that cap, you can use, you have to have conversions set up and use those conversion smart bidding strategies. And then regarding the pictures and videos, you can only use search. So display and YouTube are off the table. But what you are allowed to use is the image extensions. This has been a hot topic for, I think, the grant community for a while now, is like, can we use the image extensions that show in our account? Resounding yes. You have two options. You have image extensions, which you would manually input into your account. And then you have dynamic image extensions, and essentially you just give Google permission to automatically pull things from your web page. So with that, it removes some like need to do things as a user, but you want to make sure you like everything that's on your page. Those are allowed. So you won't even be able to create a display or video account, campaign in your grant account because it's just not set up for that. Is that good, Catherine? Yeah, that was a good answer. Good answer.
Nice. Not just a good answer, Katie. It was a perfect answer. I love it. Um, let's see. Okay, I am going to ask a question that I have heard from a lot of organizations that we've talked to in the Accelerator program that I think will be broadly helpful, and then we can dive into some of these other ones. So, if I have heard the Google Ad Grant is a great tool, I apply for it, I get approved, and then I start to dig in and do keyword research, and I realize that there just aren't as many keywords that I can reach at the cost per clicks that I need for the grant to get people to take the action I want them to take, which is like I want people to donate right away or something. Is there like a steps that your brain goes through when you're like, okay, how do we either create different offers that can attract different keywords, or do we go in to look at different keywords or different pages, or like how would you approach that problem if someone is like, oh, it looks like we're not gonna be able to get that much traffic from the grant, or is the answer, all right, we won't be able to get that much traffic, let's maximize this and then focus on other marketing channels?
Yeah, there are some times where you do keyword research and there's no search volume for the keyword that you put in. And what I will say is there are certain keywords that Google just won't give you any data on in Keyword Planner. I know people, I don't know if it was in this session or a previous session, but like childcare support or even medical terms, that medical terms are limited. You have to like get some approval for certain terms. You sometimes just won't find any data in Keyword Planner to support whether or not you should put those keywords in. So there are like other search platforms that you can look into and see like what data they have. I personally use what's called SpyFu. We have other team members that use what's called Ahrefs or Ahrefs, and it's essentially just another search term or keyword research tool. Another thing that you'll notice is if you put in your keyword and they'll just be like dashes through everything, and that says like this is a keyword but no one's searching it. Then I start going down the rabbit hole of like, okay, what's a similar word to this? So like we talked about with leadership development, if there's nothing for leadership development, like I know people are searching for something for this program, I'm going to start trying managerial training, management development, team building, like all of these different things to try to find something that's tangential to the theme that I really want to target. Um, the other thing to note when you're looking at Keyword Planner, you'll see that it'll give you like the low and high cost per click options. Um, if you're using smart bidding, like those max conversion things, you can still add those into your account, and you'll be able to go above that $2 limit for your cost per click. So that's not something that you necessarily need to worry about. Um, and even if Keyword Planner says that your average cost per click could be $10, but it's a high competitive keyword, you still might not show for it because the grant is still going to show below paid. And if there's high competition in paid and high competition in grant, you're going to have like just a harder time showing for those keywords, and that's okay. So that's why it's important to have a really robust account that has a variety of themes in it.
Lovely. Yes, Corey, there will be a replay available. I think the recording is being sent out to everyone, by the way. Um, okay, Katie, so like quick follow up on that. Does it make sense if I'm an organization and I see keyword potential? So I see like a keyword with decent search volume that will be relevant to my organization, but I don't have what I need right now to show up for it. It makes sense to like create a new landing page that is relevant to that keyword and then start to kind of attack that keyword. Is that like a tactic or
Yeah,
strategy that you've seen work?
that's super valid. Sometimes what we do with some of the people we work with is if we're noticing there's search volume around a theme and they have a blog, I'll say like, "Hey, I'm seeing a ton of search volume around this theme. Could you create a blog for it?" And I can send users to that landing
Mm,
page. Um, you don't necessarily have to have a landing page for every grouping of keywords that you have. Like, um, I could send leadership development, managerial training, and leadership training all to the same landing page. I don't have to have 3 different landing pages with different words on them. Um, but if you notice there's something that's like wildly off topic in terms of what you have on your website, it's a great idea to add a page for it.
amazing. Um, I love it. All right, let's see. Question about smart ads. Everyone, if you have more questions, click, I don't know, scan this QR code or click the Google Ad Game Plan pop up here, and our team will help you answer those. Definitely book those game plan sessions. They're going to be super helpful. Best case scenario, you get a lot of free Google Ads advice that helps you improve the efficacy of your Google Ad grant. And worst case scenario, you get some free Google Ads advice that might help make your ads more effective. So no brainer. All right. Samantha has a question about currently using smart ads, but we were recently told it's very difficult to be competitive this way. How do we get started doing ads manually?
I'm wanting to make sure that I'm on the same page with what you're referring to smart ads as. Um, because I don't think you can use smart campaigns in the grant. I personally have not used smart campaigns. Um, what we tend to see people have started using is like dynamic search ads. So essentially, you put in like parameters that um, relate to your landing page, and then Google kind of just creates the ad copy based on your landing page. I am wary of some of the um, auto generated ad copy that most search ads platforms have. This isn't just Google. I feel the same way about Microsoft, is I've seen some like really bad off-brand auto generated ad copy. So I tend to shy away from anything that'll just be like automatically created. Um, because it's all it's all fun and games when you're a adoption program and then you end up seeing an ad that's like sell your kid. Like those are those are like things we've seen with some of these like auto generated ad copy systems. So I personally don't have experience in smart ads. I really like having a nice bit of manual control, because the automated systems aren't perfect yet. As you can look in like a keyword list just based off of broad match keywords, sometimes you get some crazy stuff in those search term lists. Like AI is getting better. Everyone's all really excited about like Chat GPT and Bard and all of these systems, but I'm still like I still want some human control of my campaigns.
That's great. I think what, if I'm understanding correctly, Samantha's Google Ad Grant account is just on smart ads, which is like you get
Oh,
less control
I'm
versus
seeing some
expert mode.
I think we're had to do with bidding strategies. Bidding strategies, I'm all for that's it. Okay, expert mode versus like okay, she got there.
And
I'm so
is it,
sorry, Samantha. I was so
wait,
confused. I
real
recommend
quick,
still building your ads
go
out of
ahead.
expert mode. So when you get your new account, so not everyone sees it. I so rarely see this other view that it took me a minute to see what you were talking about. Um, but when you get your ad grant account, sometimes there's two different views, and one is like really holding your hand through building everything, but not necessarily in a way that helps you learn to build your own campaigns later. Expert mode is definitely an easier view to use. And then for bidding strategies, smart bidding is great. Do smart bidding. Can't. Smart bidding is great. That's like one AI thing that they figured out like real well.
Amazing. Does that answer the question, Samantha?
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
All right. Right. How do
How
we
do we
switch
switch
to
to
expert mode so
expert
you're
mode?
stuck in?
Oh no, you're stuck. I've never been stuck. There should be
We
at the
had one
top.
person. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. There should be at the top of your page when you log in, like an option to like switch to expert mode. And it should be a pop-up. And if it's not, I believe you can access it through your settings. There should be like a drop down in there to say like switch to expert mode. And if you can't find either one of those, I would message support and just be like, "Yo, change me to expert mode. You've hidden this button and I can't change it."
Here's a support document that I think shows you how. That should that should work. And if that doesn't, email us and we'll help you out. Let's see.
Samantha almost stumped
Missy
me.
or Jenna asked, "What is a bid strategy?"
What is a bid strategy? Okay. So there, I guess we can back up and explain like what Google Ad search really is. What happens every time you type into Google, like birthday cake near me? No, we'll stay with leadership development. I don't forget you, Jana. So leadership development near me. I type it in. There is automatically this like background auction happening in the Google space. Obviously, I'm an engineer. I know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's this background auction that's happening instantaneously where all of the different ad accounts that have put in keywords are bidding to have their ads show on the landing page. So I type in leadership development, boom, boom, boom. There's 3 ads and then organic below it. What the bid strategy is what you as an advertiser select on like how you want to do your bids. So you can bid at a cost per click level and say I'm going to bid $2 on leadership development. But if Eric bids $3 on leadership development, I'm not going to win. And that's manual. Smart bidding will look at your budget and then say like, okay, like let's maximize conversions as a smart bidding strategy, which will take your budget and try to bring you in as many conversions as possible with your budget. So that bidding strategy will drive up your cost per click, your cost per conversion to just like bring in as many conversions as possible. So it's essentially saying, I want to bid on clicks or I want to bid on conversions, and then what limits you give the bidding strategy. Are you going to cap, like, I don't want to spend more than $25 per conversion, or do I not care? that is the bits. I hope that made sense. I've obviously never been to an auction. No one
Amazing.
invites
Thank
me.
you. Let us know if that was a satisfactory answer,
That
Jana.
made sense. Thanks,
Um,
Jana. My gal.
awesome. I will say, welcome allows us to bring people up onto stage. So if anyone either has questions that they want a second pair of eyes on, you want us to look into your Google AdGrant account, you want us to look at ads, or if you just want to hop on stage and ask questions, let us know, and we'll pull you up on stage. If not, we'll just keep answering your questions as we are doing now. Um, let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Catherine with the fantastic questions. How do you, or do you even need to use the negative keywords function?
Yes. So I think it really depends on, I know the session is on the Google Ad Grant, but I work a lot in paid search as well. I think negative keywords are more important when you're paying real money for them. You want to make sure that you don't have just like crazy stuff coming in. But I tend in paid to um, just change my match types. I'll change to phrase match or exact match, and then you don't necessarily need to build out a huge keyword list. In the grant, you'll notice like search terms coming in based off of your keywords. And if I see something like wildly incorrect, I'll select them and exclude them or add them as a negative keyword at the campaign level. If there's something where you're like, we cannot show for this, or you're really concerned about being shown for it, definitely utilize a negative keyword list. But in the grant, I use it like rarely. I review the search terms list at least once a month, and um, if you have your keyword match type set up pretty strongly, you notice that there's not necessarily a huge need to add negative keywords.
Amazing. How do you see what search terms are coming in so that you can
Yeah,
understand?
in your like account overview, there's like different bars along the sides, and you'll see like campaigns, ad groups, and I think it's within the ad group section there'll be your list of keywords, and then there'll be a section called search terms. And when you go into, you click the search terms section, it'll show up all of the search terms. So every query that anyone has ever put into the internet or into Google and fired one of your ads, you'll see what that word or phrase was, what campaign, ad group, and what keyword was triggered. And you can go in and say, like, leadership development triggered Panda Express. These do not relate in any way, shape, or form. I'm adding it in Panda Express to my negative keywords list. I don't know why I chose Panda Express, but they're somehow combined. You can add them to your negative keyword list based off of your search terms.
Yeah, and that's a super helpful. This ties into a lot of stuff. That's a helpful tool to understand just like what your audience is searching for, which ties into what Katie talked about earlier, which is to not always trust keyword research tools with your life, and to think about keyword research from the lens of who your audience is and what they search for. Um, an interesting fun fact. We'll make this interactive. All right, fun fact. Some percentage of Google searches have never been searched ever before. So when Google's seeing it for the first time, it's a search that has never been searched before, and that makes up a certain percentage of Google searches. What is that percentage? Put your guesses in the chat, and also let me know if I botched that question and it's not clear. I'll rephrase it.
So the question is, what percentage of Google searches has Google never seen before?
Yeah, when they have been searched for the first time. I'm really hoping this this is making sense.
So
Come
we have
on, let's see
Georgia
some
with
guesses.
20% and 80%, and then Jason's like, I'm going to be conservative with a 5, and then we got a 0.1.
We got a wide range. I love it.
Okay,
Jacob with 40.
you're going to take the higher the
All right,
low
let's
on this
spice it
one.
up. Whoever gets the closest gets a free T-shirt. Free T-shirt for whoever gets the closest to
Ooh,
this
we have
answer.
the power. Is anyone close?
Yeah, yeah. All right, so Giorgio has a bunch of t-shirts already, so I'm not going to give one to him. Jana is the winner. 15% of searches are the first time Google has seen that word searched before, which is insane when you think about how many users Google Search Network has. People are searching
That's
new words every
surprisingly
single day,
high.
and 15% of those are the first time Google's ever seen that. It is surprisingly high. So, Jana, we're going to send you a free t-shirt. Jacob, get on
Someone get
that.
on it. Background.
I think he'll DM you. Um, but yeah, that's just a testament to you can't always trust these keyword research tools and think about what your what your persona is searching for in Google and how you can show up for them and to prioritize content. Uh, all right. Jason had a question on any thoughts on the way Google Ads has withdrawn support recently, not just ad grants in general. Do you have any thoughts on that, Katie?
I mean, it's not great. It's not great. One thing I have started utilizing more is like the Google Ads community thread. So I'll post questions and then members of the community can, provide their insights and answers. I recently had just a really weird like account problem and I messaged in the thread and I had a handful of people give me some insights of experiences that they had. They weren't able to absolutely fix my problem, but there is a pretty large, ad grant or an ad Google Ads user community that you can reach out to and get insights from them.